Hello everyone, it's been a while but I am excited to make this as I am planning it for a really long time. As many of us gamers know, most of the games we play are pretty common already and their stories are not that hard to decipher. Although sometimes further exploration into the gaming world will bring us some pretty big challenges, as sometimes the games we play will not be as usual as we expected. In today's video, we will be taking a closer and deeper look at the game known by many YouTubers, The Static Speaks My Name. The Static Speaks My Name is a pretty short indie psychological horror game. It takes the game no longer than 10 minutes to freak the player out and make him question what the hell has just happened. It takes time to figure out everything this game has to offer us, but that's what we'll be doing today. If you don't know what The Static Speaks My Name is by now, I truly advise that you watch a YouTuber play it. I wouldn't exactly recommend that you play it, but if you want to see the game in its entirety, then you definitely have to. Come back to this video after you're done. And with that, let's begin. There are some things that I want you to keep in mind while watching my explanation. First off, this game is an art installation. It is a piece of art that can go in so many ways. So what exactly does art installation mean? Well, it can go many ways. Here are some things I want you to have in mind during this video. 1. What's in the game does not represent actual things. I know this sounds confusing at first, but trust me, it'll make a lot of sense once we get with the analysis. 2. Every object in this game has a symbolic meaning. We'll also be explaining that in a few moments, so stay with me. And 3. The game wants to send a message. You may not catch it at first, but looking deeper into the game's meaning, you'll be seeing the exact message that it wants to send, and I will also be explaining that. With these three in mind, we are now ready to solve the puzzle behind the game. The game begins with what looks like a view from a darkened sky. We are surrounded by what looks like the stars. We get to move the camera and get closer to one of the stars as we read the following text. Name: Jacob Earnholz. Age: 31. Method: asphyxiation by hanging. We can already begin to tell what all the stars mean. They are there to represent all the victims caused by suicide. In our case, we have our victim, his age, and the method he chose. Going closer to the star, we'll be shown the title of the game, and the game will begin. The game opens with our main character waking up from an alarm ringing. We see a poster laying on his wall with the words, "Today will be a better day." We know from this message that our main character, Jacob, is going through a hard time. We take a glance at the clock, which indicates it's 3:22 AM. So far, there is no logical reasons why Jacob would be waking up at this hour. We turn off the alarm and we are given our first objective: use the bathroom. Looking through Jacob's room will show that he owns a couple of shrimps and is really interested in them, fact given by the book on his shelf titled Shrimp, Pink Gold, and a picture on the wall with the shrimp saying "My babies." Further exploration will reveal a painting of two trees hung almost everywhere in the house. We go into the bathroom and complete our first objective. Nothing strange so far. We're there given our second objective, which tells us to eat breakfast. We make our way around the house towards the kitchen as we see more paintings of the tree along with a couple of TVs displaying static and every door and window boarded up. Keep in mind the three things I mentioned at the beginning of the video. We are given the option to take a bunch of keys, but we know for a fact we're definitely not going to use them to open this door. So why are we going to need them? We'll find out soon enough. The next door shows an empty room filled with the same painting of the two trees placed all over the walls in different forms and contrast. The Bahamas. Probable setting of painting. But where? The Bahamas are huge. Shadows don't naturally divert with a single light source. Possible optical magnetic disturbance. To do for hidden door to safe room. Have lock on the door fitted so I can use my house key. Glue down light and upright books. It's annoying when they fall. Make books look casual on the shelf so people aren't suspicious. See page 2. Page 2 shows different forms books can be arranged to not look suspicious. We make our way to the refrigerator as we see a newspaper page that says, "Police have few leads in disappearance of local painter." So, the painting was made by a painter whose signature was found by Jacob and he has gone missing. What more is there to find about this? We open the refrigerator to find it empty, as Jacob's thoughts change to "still empty, I guess it's shrimp again." We then have no other option than to eat 2 shrimps as a new objective pops up: chat online with friends. We sit down in front of the computer as we notice a poor drawing of the 2 trees, password reminder, birthday plus address, and a bizarre photo in a frame with 4 people in it. We can only guess that Jacob is one of these people. The computer turns on and a chat room appears. The time on the computer says 12 AM at this point. Jacob's username is rather be traveling, another way for Jacob to express his desire of traveling to find a painting. The person in the chat says all sorts of different weird things as we're given the option to pick between 2 replies with no connection whatsoever. It is then revealed that whatever the player chooses to answer, Jacob will say the same thing. We can even see Jacob has a total of 3 friends in his list, which are probably the other people from the picture in the frame. After having a pointless conversation with what looks like a scamming bot, Jacob gets up and we can now read a suicide letter left by Jacob to his mom. Mom, I guess I'm supposed to write a note? First off, I don't want you to blame yourself. And with that gone, I'm sorry, I have to leave you too. Please don't be angry with me. We can now start to have a better understanding behind Jacob's motives. His father passed away is another reason that indicates why Jacob became like this. But there's still so much more to uncover, so we'll keep on going. We're then presented the 4th objective, clean the microwave. We do as the game tells us, and this is where the game takes an even darker turn. Objective 5 tells us to decide what to do with the man in the cage. This leaves so many questions that I don't even know where to begin, so we have to explore the house in order to find more about this. As we make our way to the house, we'll come across a room with a noose and a panel box. Opening the panel box will reveal a message written by Jacob saying, "All electricity goes to our guest in case of emergency." So, who is our guest? Remember the keys we had the option to grab earlier? This is where we'll need them. Using the keys will allow players to open up a secret door behind a bookshelf. All the notes about arranging the books so they don't look suspicious are now starting to make sense. Behind the hidden door is a painting all turned to red and text, "Need sleep, tired, red tired, tired." We make our way to what looks like a bank door that will lead us to a horrifying discovery, a naked person being held inside a cage. We can see he's being fed shrimps as we're given the option to unlock the cage. The room also has several paintings of the trees along with a couple of painting equipment. It is starting to make sense now. The painter's signature, his disappearance, and all the painting equipment next to a man being held in a cage, forced to draw the same painting Jacob's obsessed with. We don't even need to look closely to realize the painting made by the man in the cage is not like the one Jacob is obsessed with, which leaves us wondering if this man even is the right painter. At this point, the player can pick between unlocking the cage and electrocuting the man from the circuit panel. Then our final objective appears: return to your room and let your body rest. We make our way to the room as we notice the clock is still 3:22 and open yet another new door with only a chair and a noose inside. The player has no other option at this point. After Jacob hangs himself, we're then shown the darkened sky yet again, this time with more stars that surround us. Going close to each of the stars will reveal more victims of suicide. Moving our camera into one of the stars like we did at the beginning will result in finishing the game. And with that, we are once again left wondering what just happened, but this time we can answer that question. Once again, I want to remind you about the 3 things I mentioned at the beginning of this video, because all 3 of them will connect as we begin to explain everything that we saw in the game. Jacob, our main character, is suffering from a severe depression, a depression that results in not only self-destruction, but also isolating himself from friends, family, or just any other person. The only type of background we have is from the message Jacob wrote to his mom, which indicates that Jacob's father passed away recently. We know this added to his depression, but there's more. However, we're not given all the reasons. The game starts with a message on the wall saying, "Today will be a better day." Did Jacob put that up there so he can cheer himself up immediately after waking up? Most likely not. This can easily refer to all the advertisements about preventing depression, all the shrinks telling you the exact same thing, that it'll be fine, It's all the same thing to Jacob, as he refuses to see the beauty in anything. Notice the creepy face on the poster. Where else have we seen such creepy faces? On the picture with Jacob and his friends. At this point, Jacob sees the negative in everything that surrounds him, leaving him with a morbid view of the world. Jacob has now isolated himself fully from everyone, but like I said, it's all symbolic. Do you really board up your doors and windows when isolating yourself? Do you turn on all the TVs and display static on them? Of course not. This is an indirect way for the developers to send a message to us and give us more details about Jacob without revealing it directly. They want us to figure out what's going on in Jacob's life. The windows and doors being boarded up means that we do not get to see any of the outside world. We can only see what's inside Jacob's mind. He's trapped inside the prison of his own reality. Even when he tries to communicate with people online, he ends up chatting with a bot. The shrimps are now the closest Jacob has to any company, and what happens when he runs out of food in this place that he trapped himself into? He resorts to eating his loved ones in order to survive. Depression consumes a person's life and changes him entirely. It makes him kill any sort of friendship he has, and the game shows us this exact thing. Jacob's obsession with the painting is another one of the things depression causes. Do those trees mean anything? Does the painting have any meaning behind it? No, it doesn't. Jacob is obsessed with something small, something that no person should be obsessed with. To us, it's just a normal painting of two trees, but to Jacob it is much more, or at least that's what he believes. He goes in so many ways to change the painting in order to find more details about it that he ends up ruining the beauty in it, just like he does to everything else. Let me give you an example so you can better understand what I'm talking about. Let's say you're being bullied at school. The bully tells you something bad about your face and you start being depressed about it. You are so depressed because of it that you start to be obsessed with what the bully told you, in this case, your face. You now start looking for ways to change your face so it can look better. You look for plastic surgery, makeup, any form of way that would change the way you look, without realizing that you're not actually ugly like the bully said, but you're constantly destroying that beauty. This is exactly what Jacob does, but he takes it to a totally different level. We know for sure that the man in the cage is the painter that went missing. Jacob's madness led him to kidnapping an innocent person and forcing him to draw the exact same thing. Like I said before, looking at the drawing by the man in the cage, we can see that it is not the exact same like the one Jacob's obsessed with. So, can this mean that Jacob has abducted the wrong person? The newspaper on the fridge says local painter. Can that mean that Jacob kidnapped a random painter from his town just so he can paint for him? We know he did, judging by the books on his shelf. Was the least he can eat, a guide to raising 10 children, faking Spanish. That indicates that the painter Jacob abducted is Spanish, and as he's running out of food, he's looking for ways to keep him alive while not feeding him too much food. It's an interesting thing, but that's not what the game wants us to see. Like I said, the game's more about the message and less than every specific detail. Depression consumes a person and it destroys relationship with others. Jacob's depression took it to such a far level that he destroys other people's lives in order to feed his own madness. The last choice in the game is also a confusing matter, but I think it symbolizes the way Jacob turns his obsession before taking his life. Unlocking the cage means that Jacob let go of his obsession at madness and he's now free, and so is the man in the cage. Electrocuting the man in the cage means that he lets the issues get to him and gives in to all the insecurities in his life. In our case, he doesn't want the painter to be free either. The suicide ending only means a bad ending, in which the protagonist chose not to deal with all the pain and decided to end it. All the stars at the end who show different ways people committed suicide is the game's way of spreading awareness to a different way. They want people to know that once you do it, there is no way back and you will be just another star lost in the darkness of the sky. I'm pretty sure I covered everything there was to cover. It is indeed a morbid game with a really dark message behind it. I hope everyone watching this video does well, but in case you don't, please seek help. There's much more to life than you know it. And with that, I think we're finished. Thank you so much for sticking with me to the end of this video, and if you liked my explanation, please leave a like down below. And with that, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.